Your Excellency, I thought that was very smart arrangement when you cleverly put a disclaimer before you got started that you're not a man of God. But we know, don't you agree with me that he's a man of God? I mean, he is a man of God because a man of God is somebody that God sends on an assignment, somebody that does things for God. What else will we call him other than a man of God? But I understand what dichotomy is trying to create, between him and those who are men of God. But in your speech, you made reference to the priesthood of all believers. So whether a believer is in government, whether a believer is in entertainment, we still know that Jesus has restored all of us to become priests. So unlike in the Old Testament, where Aaron and his children were the only priests, now Jesus has made it so that all of us are priests. And the concern therefore is, if we are all priests, why is it that the church today is shying away from outside of the church actively engaging other sectors of society to meaningfully bring impact in those various sectors? Because we think that children of God should not get involved. For instance, entertainment. Somehow we think children of God should not be there. Then let's come to politics. We think children of God should not be there. These faulty assumptions have been debunked by someone like you. You are a child of God. We know you are a child of God. We know you love God. And by the way, they may not know, but I have the little privilege of knowing. My wife and I wake up in the morning and we're getting ready. In fact, we had left His Excellency. We're at the airport, on our way to the airport, and then His Excellency called and he said, "Reverend, where are you?" I said, "Sorry, I'm all on my way to the airport." He said, no, we need to see. They should turn back. And here am I concerned about the flight. But I said to myself, if His Excellency told me to turn back, any flight that wants to leave, His Excellency can call them. That would be the same. So he said, no, you have to turn back. And so when I met him, there was something you said. You said you normally do your devotion at a particular time of the day. Regular devotion. So we know you as a child of God, Your Excellency, and you are in governance. And we have seen you bring priesthood to governance. Can you talk to us about the importance of priesthood in governance?
All right, thank you so much. When I said the caveat, there was a point I was trying to make, which you know. There are a few things that you normally don't say in a church, and that is the way it has been. We grew up looking at people in government as those people that are dirty, particularly politicians. And I'm sure you would relate with that saying that politics is a dirty game. But then over time, with understanding, clearly there may be dirt in politics, but it is associated with dirty people. So if you're a dirty person, when you get into politics, you remain dirty. But to now attack a whole of, I don't even want to see it as a profession. Politics is not a profession. For you to be a politician, a successful one, you must have done something, because it's about leadership. So what are your track records? What can you prove? What will people look at? And they will say, okay, this is the kind of person that we want him to lead us. Because if you're a leader and you don't have followers, you are just taking a walk. So I think the first thing is a mindset change. And that is what I came to talk about today. To say we must understand politics in the context of governance and leadership. And if leadership is important to us, then we cannot dismiss politics. And that's why I ended with Bertolt Brecht's quote. Even though some of the words he used there were very strong, but of course he's entitled to the opinion. But I think the most important thing is that he admonishes all of us to get involved, even if you don't want to get involved. There's someone that said that when you don't vote, you have voted. You have voted for the wrong person. So those who do not vote, vote for the wrong persons. So it is gradually taking effect, and I believe that a whole lot of people are following the way. There are also, we need to also go back, because sometimes when people describe themselves as politicians, I ask them a simple question. What were you doing prior to 1999, particularly those ones that are old enough? Some of them even describe themselves as chartered politicians. I wrote one article once about somebody that says he's a chartered politician. And my question is, okay, prior to 1999, what were you doing? That means you were jobless. So politics should not be a vocation. It should not be a job. It should be about service. You must have something to offer, because you cannot give what you don't have. So I think it's a mindset change. We will need to keep talking about it. And if, there are categories. I mean, anyhow you look at it, you are anointed. You are an anointed man of God. So as an anointed man of God, we must give you your due. Those of us that are aspiring, we cannot also claim to be anointed because we've not been anointed. Bishop Abioye is here. You know for how long he's been doing this. So I cannot rub shoulders with him. I don't even intend to. So we take instructions from him. So that's what it is. And because also a lot of people have... Okay, I'll talk about entertainment. One of the greatest entertainers of our time today is David Adeleke. He's like a son to me. When he released the first album, the father almost kicked him out. And I went to him and I said, no, you can't. He's still your son. You can't kill somebody that you bury. But look at him, how many years down the line. So everybody has his own gift. You cannot dictate. But of course, you can always improve on what God has given you. By education, by association, by the kind of people you meet, the kind of culture. So you can always improve. And when you sit and you condemn one area and say, oh, Christians cannot do this, Christians cannot do that. It's actually, you are creating room for those that should not be there. Because the world was a vacuum. So we must consciously, and I'm very happy with the graduates today. I'm sure as they move out, they will know that part of their calling is to build leaders, not just leaders in church. Because somebody can just legislate. Somebody can come, a madman can come and put this place down. There's nothing you can do. He says he's maybe the governor or the president, and he puts the place down. And that's the end of it. So we cannot fold our arms. And that's basically, like you rightly said, why some of us joined. I come from a state. I used to be a bank CEO. And anywhere you go, people will say, oh, you've done well in the bank. How is your place? You will cover your face in shame because your place was not doing well. And like I said, you can tell somebody, okay, do this, do that. But he may not even understand what you're talking about. So sometimes it's better you roll up the sleeves and jump into it and deal with it. And that's what it is. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Jump into it is what I heard. Challenging most of us that God has been calling because, again, we all have calls to different sectors. Have we done that I'm sure we've done that, the 7 Mountains, talking about Johnny Enloe, the 7 Mountains of Society. So that's a very fantastic book. Also, we teach them on 7 mountains, and we encourage them to find the various mountains. We call them the platforms where purpose finds expression. So Johnny Enloe is somebody I studied very well, very, very well. Your Excellency, before you leave, you talked about the church setting up economic empowerment initiatives. Rather than just give relief materials, the church can actually set up economic empowerment initiatives, productive hubs, and you want to throw light on that a bit?
Yeah, this is something that I have done, not as a church, but I set up a foundation over 10 years ago, and that foundation does 2 things. Every year, it awards scholarships to indigent but very bright students. And when we set up something that would look like the Chevening Scholarship. So and we said, the way to go will be, since we are looking for indigent but bright, so we set up a system whereby after year 1 in the university, we'll look at your CGPA. First of all, we open a portal. You apply when you are in year 1, and we've been doing it for years. You apply, we check your background, look at your CGPA, minimum of 4.5 or 4, depending on the school. And then interviews are held after written exams, and then we pick the best, sometimes 70 people, sometimes 80, depending on how they emerge. And then we'll start paying their school fees from year 2 up to the time they graduate. Whatever you are studying, we have Otti scholars that are medical doctors today. I went to speak in Yale University the other day, and some young lady came to me and said she is an Otti scholar, and she now had a scholarship to do her PhD in Yale University. I was so proud of her. So that's just an example of what we do. And every year we do it, and it works. Once you become a scholar, you remain a scholar until you graduate, even when they graduate. So that's one. The other one is also support for small, micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises. So we organize, particularly women, in cooperative societies. And we disburse funds to them to support their businesses. They must have something that they have convinced us is workable. We'll go through with them. We have a clinic. People will take them through, and then they will now start their business. We lend monies to them, interest-free. Why it's better to do it in cooperatives is that members of the cooperative would put pressure on beneficiaries to pay back so that they can also benefit. So if you have 100 people who are members of a cooperative and you disburse 1 million naira, for example, to 10 of them, the next 10 will benefit when the first 10 have paid back. So all of them are in this society, they hold their meetings, they encourage each other. Sometimes some businesses fail. But the reality is that 80 to 90% of the businesses succeed. And once they are successful, even without calling them, they come in and pay the debt so that others on the queue will benefit. That's an example of how it works. So, and the church can do that. It's always easy, and I've always said, for me in my state, the first time I met with the World Bank and all the multilateral organizations, I said, we don't like handouts in Abia. We don't want anybody to give us grants and other. Whatever you are bringing, if we use it, we'll pay you back. So you buy the confidence of the person once you let them know that you are not looking for handouts. So the church, if you have ₦1 million, you can use that ₦1 million to empower people who would take off from there, rather than people who will use it to eat, to smoke, to lodge in a hotel and other. And money is fungible. It can go either way. It can go to useless things, or it can go to useful things. It's the same money. So wherever you channel it, that's where it goes. I don't know if I've clarified that.
No, I think you went beyond clarifying. You also give us models, because what you've done now is to give us models how you have been able to do it. Before we let you go, Abia State, we seem not to see we've not seen the end of it. Just when we're thinking we've seen roads, then we are seeing buses, and then now everywhere people in Abia are saying, look, we have lights. First, we're concerned about, this is the Federal Capital Territory. We don't have lights regularly. So we're thinking we may need to ask you to come and do something here for us. But Your Excellency, what is the vision? What do you see, Abia? What is in your mind? There's something you're working towards. Abians are watching and they're like, what is in the mind of this man? Now other governors have been challenged by Abia State.
Really?
Oh, it's online.
That's not the idea.
Your Excellency, on social media now, am I correct? What happens now is that people go to their states and then they now use Abia State to talk to their governors. But away from that, what is the vision of the Abia that you see?
All right, so let me start from comparisons. I don't like comparisons.
Yes.
Because people have different circumstances.
Yes.
What is important to you in Abuja may not be important to the Abia person.
Yes.
And where Abia is starting from under watch from 2023 is different from where other states were starting from. So comparisons may not make sense.
Yes.
And I've always, even yesterday when I was being received in OYE, had said that the vision is not to be like anybody. The vision is to be yourself. Wow. So I want OYE to be OYE, Aba to be Aba, Ohafia to be Ohafia.
Wow.
Yes. Because our forefathers were great people. And when you go back to the days of Michael Okpara, the days of Sam Bakwe, was in the 79 to 83, Agui Ronsi, all those. And if you look at the things they achieved with rudimentary resources and technology, then you agree with me that we have not given a good account of ourselves. And for me, it's all about dignity. We must restore our dignity as a nation. And for me, as a state. That's what is important. You want to come somewhere, and when your name is mentioned, people will not begin to sigh and ask if you people are jinxed. And it's all about leadership. So the vision is to restore the dignity of our people.
Wow.
And our people are great people, very hardworking people. They can create anything with bare hands. You will be shocked when you go to Aba and you see what our people are doing without technology. Our people are able to produce, even if miniature cars, and it only requires support. And the support is creating the enabling environment. Our people are not, like I said, they don't want anything from you. So the people who put you under pressure to say you are not sharing money, they are politicians. We say, well, we can't share money. Because there are two ways to deal with the money. It's either you share it or use it to work. Money has been shared in 24 years and didn't take us too far. So from 2023, we said we use the money to work. Talking about electricity, I talked about my association with the geometric in my previous life. From 2010, when Professor Barton Naji approached me in the bank to support him. And I wanted to support, but then somehow as I moved to Diamond Bank then, a year later, even though I had processed the facility for him, the bank wouldn't let him draw. And that was a good decision at that time because the person that processed and understood the transaction was leaving. So as I arrived at Diamond Bank, he came back to say, well, we still have this problem. Because, coincidentally, it was Diamond Bank that was funding the facility before the global economic meltdown, which made the bank to stop. So we were able to restructure the entire facility, get some forbearance from central bank, and then completed the project. But somehow one problem after another kept the project until when I was sworn in May 2023. And we rolled up our sleeves, and 1 year after, we got it working.
Wow.
And it's interesting. The man had been on it for 20 years. In fact, this is the 22nd year. So you can imagine $800 million, 20-something years. So it really requires patience. But then we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like I had always said, you have built the power station. And the power station is modular. So all you need to do is to install gas turbines. And I had announced last week that my commissioner for power is negotiating for a big gas turbine out of Netherlands. I've just done 500 hours. Bring it here, and then you have another 125 megawatts of energy. And you can just wheel it to Umuahia and even give neighboring states. So you don't need to spend another 20 years and $800 million building another station if you can expand the capacity.
Yes.
And today, Geometric is even giving a local government in Rivers State power. I think that's, It's a private company, but it's supported by the government. And the simple reason is like, without power, everything else fails. And so we must pay attention as a country.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, we must let you go, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. It's been, want to thank you for what you're doing, and we'll continue as a church to pray for you and continue to wish you the very best, that this tenure will finish on a very high note, and we pray for the years ahead for you. We pray that you will continue to remain focused. We pray that you will continue to excel your previous achievements. We pray that Abia will continue to leapfrog. Abia will continue to rise, and Abia will become a model to many to know that it is possible. Thank you so much for all you've done. We really appreciate you. But before you leave, on behalf of the graduates, they have a little just to say thank you for leadership example. At this point, I would like to invite my father, Bishop Abioye. I would like to invite him to do this presentation. This is on behalf of the students in recognition of your exceptional leadership, visionary governance, and outstanding contribution to the transformation and development of Abia State. May I humbly request that the Abioye to just come and present it to His Excellency. His Excellency, want to say something?
Let me thank the graduating leaders for this plaque. Ordinarily, I don't receive awards, but when I looked at it and it's just a plaque, I want to thank you for the plaque, and I pray that you will be successful in everything that you do. God bless you.
Wow.